In March of 2025, the Nintendo Switch will have been on the market for 8 years now. This means that the Nintendo Switch will have the second longest lifespan of any major Nintendo console, only behind the original Game Boy. I was lucky enough to get my Switch on its release date, March 3rd, 2017. That same fall, I started my freshman year of high school, and this upcoming spring, as the Switch hits its 8-year mark, I'll be graduating from college. It's honestly insane how all throughout these formative years, along this journey of me coming into my own as a young adult, by my side has been a single console. Whether I'm at home or across the country, whether I'm experiencing a generation-defining masterpiece or unwinding with a comfort game, whether I'm playing with friends, family, or by myself, the Nintendo Switch has always been there, and will always be an incredibly important console to me.
But man, I'm fucking sick of this thing. I need something new. I need something exciting. I need something without Joy-Con drift.
The successor to the Nintendo Switch is coming, so they say. When exactly is it gonna be here?
I don't know.
What exactly is it gonna be?
I don't know.
As of right now, the only people who do know these things are working at and with Nintendo. And the only official statement to my knowledge from Nintendo on the upcoming system is that it will be announced by the end of this year. Aside from rumors and speculation, that's all we truly know. And that's exactly what the rest of this video is gonna be. Rumors and speculation. But coming from this idiot.
What? Oh, hello. Take a seat, kiddos. Today I am going to weave you a tale of a not-so-distant future. Today I am going to tell you everything that you need to know about the upcoming Nintendo console. And when we look back upon this tale in 2 to 3 years' time, it will either be scarily accurate or a little embarrassing.
November 2024, the successor to the Nintendo Switch is announced, and it is another Nintendo Switch.
Son of a bitch.
After the Switch's success, I can't see Nintendo not doing another hybrid console. Now and again, I'll hear people say that Nintendo needs to go back to making separate home consoles and handhelds, and I think that's a dumb idea. All throughout gaming history, handhelds have been trying to play catch-up to the power of home consoles, and to the general consumer who isn't accustomed to counting pixels and polygons, we're pretty much there. Sure, most people can tell that the exclusive games on the PlayStation 5 are more powerful than the ones on Switch, but it's not so much of a difference to where the weaker Switch hardware is going to be a deal breaker. If Nintendo decides to split their market by selling a $300 handheld and a $500 PS5-like home console, I'm sorry, but nobody's gonna buy the home console. We saw this happen during the last console generation, where the Wii U's greatest competition was actually the 3DS, because it was a cheaper alternative that still allowed people to play the Nintendo games that they wanted. And this leads us to what is actually the Nintendo Switch's greatest strength. It is the Nintendo console. A couple of Christmases ago, my uncle texted me and said, "Hey, we want to get some Nintendo games for the kids this Christmas. What do you recommend?" And I was like, oh, hey, get a Switch, get Mario Kart, and another game or two if it's in the budget. And that's exactly what they did. And later, I thought to myself, oh my god, how much more complicated would that conversation have been if he asked me that during the Wii U 3DS era? So, do you know the difference between Smash Tour and Smash Run? In this situation where the consumer has to choose between a handheld and a home console that can more or less do the same things, Nintendo's greatest competition is itself. The hybrid model makes everything easier for everybody. Nintendo no longer has to split their developmental resources between two consoles, and the consumer doesn't have to weigh their options as to which Nintendo console is more worth their money. So yeah, TLDR, in this showcase, Nintendo will unveil their next hybrid console. It will be more powerful than the Switch, I think that is a given. I think that 1080p in handheld mode and 4K when docked is reasonable to expect. But honestly, I'll take as much power as they can give us while keeping this thing within a fair price range. Ideally, the console is still $300, but I think that $350 is fair, assuming that the leap in price is justified. Once you start hitting that $400 plus mark, that's where they're going to start losing a lot of people. Preferably, the console is backwards compatible, both with the games and with the controllers. I mean, look, I own like a dozen of these little beans, and I don't want the 8 of them that still work to go to waste, okay? At the very least, keep the Pro controllers, because those things be so fine. One of the biggest complaints with the original Switch is the size of the Joy-Cons, so I'd expect the console as a whole to be sized up just a little bit. I would honestly love it if they went back to the stick and button size of the Wii U. For as much as I can give this bulky ass controller, the Wii U gamepad does feel tremendous in the hand. Maybe they could add back some of the Wii U's curves to make it a little easier to hold, but I understand if that compromises the portability of the Switch and its ease to dock. Also, no magnets. The concept is cool as hell, but I can already see the headlines of this just not working right for people. The other major wishlist item for the new console is that they finally add back some character to the UI. The Switch's home screen is clean, but it's also boring as hell. Give us some style and flavor like the Wii and Wii U. Let us choose theme packs like the 3DS and Nintendo. Please, fix your damn eShop. And for the love of God, if you're making the Nintendo Switch 2, just call it the Nintendo Switch 2, okay? No Switch Deluxe, no Switch U. I'm pretty sure you learned that the hard way last time. The console either needs to be titled the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Nintendo blank. The Nintendo Swap, the Nintendo Blend, the Nintendo Fusion, the Nintendo Experience, anything that gets the idea across that this is a new Nintendo hybrid console will do the job. For the purpose of this prediction video, and also because I believe it to be most likely, let's call it the Nintendo Switch 2. At the Switch 2 showcase, we'll see the major games for the Switch 2's release calendar, as well as learn that it will be launching April 4th, 2025, alongside... You guys remember that silly little The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild video game? I'm expecting more or less the same thing from Metroid Prime 4. Very similar to Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, Metroid Prime 4 is a Switch game that was promised very early on in the console's life, and then ended up taking an entire console generation to develop. Because of this, I believe that Metroid Prime 4 will be a dual release / launch title for the Switch and Switch 2. Prime 4 will be the launch title that will get hardcore fans to invest in the Switch 2 early on, and it's only fair that they release the game on the original Switch as well as a bonus for fans who have waited so patiently. Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the main thing used to show the power increase between the two consoles, and while it probably won't do Zelda numbers, Prime 4 will still sell decently well, thanks to good reviews and word of mouth. The other significant Nintendo game for the Switch 2's launch also involves pattern recognition. The Wii, Wii Sports. The Wii U, Nintendo Land. The Switch, 1-2 Switch.
Is blue the pattern?
A new Nintendo console almost certainly means a new tech demo game. I'm actually working on a video about the Wii U's tech demo game, Nintendo Land, right now. So... And to Control-C, Control-V a sentence directly from that script, tech demo games are games that release very early on in a new console's life with the purpose of showcasing the new hardware's capabilities. In a perfect world, we get Nintendo Land 2. In a not-so-perfect world, we get 1-2 Switch... 3? This tech demo game will more than likely be something new though. So what are those new features that we might be showing off here? Maybe the new Joy-Con will have microphones and speakers. Maybe there's a minigame where you're playing something like Telephone and it transfers the sound from one Joy-Con to another.
Oh. Subscribe to Cold Kirky.
Prescribe a mold turkey. It's inevitable that motion and gyro controls will be returning and improved upon, so yeah, do something new with that. A rumor I've heard is that the new console will have some kind of body sensory technology. I have no idea what this would be used for aside from the tech demo game and, like, fitness stuff, but I don't know, it might be cool. Maybe there could be a way to stream gameplay from the handheld to the TV dock. That way you could have visual both on the TV and the tablet. Kind of like the Wii U. You know what? Maybe Nintendo Land 2 isn't that far-fetched. Whatever, throw it on the timeline. Alright, it's time for a big one. This is an idea that I'm pretty sure everybody who has sat down to think about what the next Mario Kart game might be for more than 3 minutes has come up with.
Alright, so let's see here. The last game was Mario Kart 8. So naturally this next game is going to be Mario Kart 9, right? Well, technically no, because Nintendo considers Mario Kart Tour to be Mario Kart 9, and it would be pretty weird going 7, 8, Tour 10. So how about X? This is the 10th Mario Kart game, X is the Roman numeral for 10, and Mario Kart X just sounds cool. And on top of that, X is the universal video game indicator for crossovers, so maybe this is where Nintendo finally goes all out and gives us Super Smash Kart. And all the while, they're able to still use their iconic Mario Kart branding. Man, I am so smart, and cool, and original, and sexy.
I truly do believe that the Switch was intended to have a Mario Kart to call its own, but then this stupid motherfucker just wouldn't stop selling. So yeah, while Nintendo has been raking in all of the money from the 5th best-selling video game of all time, and having the B teams take care of smaller Mario Kart projects like Tour and the Booster Course Pass, the A team has been in the background this entire time, slow cooking a banger new Mario Kart for almost a decade now. And that bombshell will be dropping very soon. A big rumor as to why Nintendo is taking so long with the Switch 2 is that they're taking their time to manufacture enough consoles to meet demand, and dude, I can't think of many other games with as much demand for them as a brand new Mario Kart. And considering how evergreen a game Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was all throughout the Switch's life, I think Nintendo now understands just how powerful a Mario Kart at launch is for a new Nintendo console. The main gimmick of this game is going to be the crossover characters and tracks. But at its core, it's still Mario Kart. My theory is that because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and the Booster Course Pass kind of act as a grand celebration of the entire Mario Kart series, Mario Kart X isn't going to have retro tracks. At least not in the base game. The top row of cups are still going to feature your usual Nitro tracks inspired by the world of Mario, but the bottom row this time around is going to all be crossover cups. A Barrel Cup, a Star Rod Cup, a Pikmin Cup, a Splatter Cup, a Metroid Cup, a Pokemon Cup. The possibilities here are truly limitless. All of the stars in terms of theming, branding, marketing, and what the fans want are aligned perfectly. Nintendo would be foolish not to take advantage of this opportunity. These two games are kind of no-brainers depending on a couple of circumstances. Splatoon and Super Mario Maker are the two big online-focused Nintendo franchises. It just makes sense to get entries for these series released as early as possible so that you can establish player bases on the new console. After the massive past, present, and future Grand Fest, it seems like Splatoon 3 is starting to wind down a bit, and Super Mario Maker 2 has been dormant for a while now. It's extremely likely that one, if not both of these franchises will get new entries next year. I think just based off of the time between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, that Splatoon 4 is more likely to be the one held back, but until no later than the summer of 26, because again, it's good to establish those online franchises early. The only major wrench in this theory would involve how backwards compatibility and crossplay with the original Switch is going to work. If Splatoon 3 is playable on the Switch 2 and still has an ample online community thanks to crossplay, then Nintendo can realistically put off Splatoon 4 until 2027. I know I just made a very broad claim saying that Splatoon 4 will be coming anytime in the next 3 years, but this really is one of the most circumstantial games for the Switch 2. If there's no backwards compatibility, Splatoon 4 needs to drop ASAP. If there is backwards compatibility and whatnot, whatever. Splatoon 3 still has some gas in the tank, and the people can wait for Splatoon 4. Super Mario Maker 2, on the other hand, is in desperate need of some fuel. Now I am going to propose yet another completely original idea. Super Mario Maker 3. I know this would likely be an absolute nightmare to develop, but if you want to kick off a new console right, a new Mario Maker with 2D and 3D Mario options would be absolutely insane. The only problem I can see is that Nintendo might not want to overshadow another game coming in 2025. Nope, let's talk about something new. Yeah, it's possible that in 2025 we get neither Mario Maker 3 nor Splatoon 4 because Nintendo wants to highlight a new multiplayer online experience. And yes, I do know what this new IP is going to be. It's called Glimglams. It's dressed to impress Roblox, but with clams. Glimglams is going to be Nintendo's third new IP attempting to follow the Splatoon model of releasing a fun online game and then rolling out consistent updates to keep players coming back. I believe that Nintendo has learned from the successes of Splatoon and the mediocre decency of ARMS to create something big. Glimglams. What, were you expecting something else? Yeah, this one has been a long time coming. I think very similar to Mario Odyssey, this is going to be Nintendo's big holiday game for 2025. Honestly, I'd be cool with pretty much anything for this game. The word going around the block right now is that this is going to be a grand open world 3D Mario adventure, kind of like a fully realized version of Bowser's Fury, and yeah, that'd be pretty bangin'. But look, I don't care if this game is Mario Galaxy 3, Mario Odyssey 2, or something entirely new. Just give me a fun 3D platformer starring the silly Wahoo Plumber Man with silky smooth controls, and I'll be satisfied. And while we're on the subject, let's jump ahead a year. Look, I know these first couple of years are extremely Mario heavy, but counterpoint, it's Mario. And honestly, just think for a moment. If Nintendo releases the new 3D Mario game for holiday 2025, the Mario Movie 2 in late spring of 2026, and then a new 2D Mario game for holiday 26 as well, not to mention Mario Kart and Mario Maker on top of all that, by my estimates, that would make them $7 gazillion. This new 2D Mario game won't strictly be called Mario Wonder 2, mainly because I think Nintendo has learned their lesson when it comes to pigeonholing themselves with 2D Mario, but it will be an evolution of Wonder's concepts. A new 2D Mario platforming adventure with wildly creative mechanics and level design. Pokemon. Yeah. We already know that Pokemon Legends ZA, or Pokemon ZA, is slated for 2025 sometime. It is possible that they do a very early release for ZA, and then we somehow get Generation 10 by holiday 2025. I mean, we have consistently gotten a new Pokemon generation every 3 years since Black and White, so it's not impossible, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I believe that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company have heard the outcry for a more polished Pokemon experience, and that is why they have made the bold decision to take 4 years to develop Generation 10. So this means Pokemon Legends ZA will be coming holiday 25, and then Generation 10 holiday 26. So yeah, I will see you all on November 20th of 2026 for the release of Pokemon King and Queen. Pokemon Positive and Negative, Pokemon Bacon, Egg, and Cheese, Pokemon Wand and a Rabbit. Compared to 2025, 2026 is going to be a bit of a lighter year. I'm not saying that they're going to completely stop making games and just release Wii U ports like the original Switch did for its second year, but when you release a new Mario Kart, Pokemon, and 3D Mario game within months of each other, yeah, you can ride that wave for a little bit and let the B-listers take charge. Kirby, pretty much the captain of the B team. He's safe, he's reliable, he's Kirby. They can either return to 2D or expand upon the 3D formula established in Forgotten Land. Honestly, they can do whatever they want with this little guy, and it will perform decently well. Considering that new 3D Zeldas anymore are lucky to see the light of day twice within a decade, and we just got a new top-down Zelda literally weeks ago, I suspect that it's going to be quite a while before we get a brand spanking new Zelda experience. That means it's time to bust out the remakes, baby! The only question is, which one? They've already done remakes for all of the major 3D Zelda titles before Breath of the Wild, so maybe we get a refreshed version of Breath of the Wild. Either that or we head back to the start with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time HD/4K. Honestly, I'm Team Ocarina of Time. Breath of the Wild, even though it did come out almost 8 years ago, still feels a bit too new to get a remake. And considering that Ocarina of Time is the progenitor of so many things in modern gaming, what better way for Nintendo to show that the Switch 2 can keep up with the Xbox and PlayStation than with a glorious Ocarina of Time remake? Yeah, now this is what we're talking about. Your simple, casual party games that are going to help fill out the Switch 2's first couple of years. I'd expect to see a new WarioWare, another take on Nintendo Switch Sports, some kind of Warriors collaboration, and a couple of Mario sports titles sprinkled throughout 2025 and 26. ARMS wasn't a bad game per se, just a painfully unrealized one. I think that a hypothetical ARMS 2 has tremendous potential for loads of new modes, character concepts, and gameplay styles. The ball really is in Nintendo's court as to whether they want to continue pursuing the series after the lukewarm reception of the first game. Honestly, I give ARMS 2 a 40% chance of being real, and 35% of that is based on Min Min being in Smash Bros. This game would be absolutely gorgeous in 4K. Yoshi's Woolly World is one of the very few Wii U games that never received a Switch port, so why not? Xenoblade 4 will be happening. Fire Emblem But Next will be happening. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I know enough about either of these series to say exactly what the next entries are going to be or when exactly they're going to be released, but Xenoblade and Fire Emblem are definitely popular enough series to get new games within the first 2 or 3 years of the Switch 2's life. I suspect that one of these games will be released Holiday 26 and the other Holiday 27. As for which is which, well, it seems like Xenoblade has gone longer without a new release, but Fire Emblem seems to have faster turnarounds. So I'm gonna say Holiday 26 for the new Fire Emblem and Holiday 27 for Xenoblade 4. I know I called 2026 the year of the B-listers, but I still think there's gonna be one big first-party Nintendo release, and that game is going to be Animal Crossing. I don't really know what else to say about this one. Animal Crossing is crazy popular and fits that comfy, cozy, casual mold that much of this year is geared towards. Expand even more on the customization options in New Horizons, if that's even possible, but add back some of the flavor in the dialogue. The villagers in this game are boring as hell. I still love you though, Zucker and Rald. I adore the Pikmin franchise. My first game was Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, and since then, I have absolutely fallen in love with the series. But let me tell ya, having to wait 10 years for a new mainline Pikmin game does something to a motherfucker. To put it in perspective, Pikmin 3 came out before I had hit puberty, and Pikmin 4 released just a few months before I unlocked alcoholism. But thankfully, it seems like there are good signs that we'll be getting a new Pikmin game sometime relatively soon. Pikmin 4 is a phenomenal game, and it turns out that it's actually one of the most technically impressive and future-proof games that Nintendo has ever put together. There are videos out there from people who know way more about this stuff than I do, but from what I understand, everything in this game, from the performance, to the enemies, to the sound design, was designed to last and be extremely adaptable. Almost like it's intended to be the base for more Pikmin games in the future. So yeah, Pikmin 5 by 2027 is reasonably kinda sorta possible maybe. Okay, I've got a bit of a conspiracy. Reportedly, Retro Studios only began working on Metroid Prime 4 when Nintendo decided to start from scratch in 2019. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, phenomenal game by the way, came out in February of 2014. So that begs the question, what the hell was Retro Studios working on for the 5 years between Tropical Freeze and starting on Prime 4? There's no way that these ports took up all of that time. What's most likely is that Retro Studios was working on the third game in the DKC Returns trilogy, before Nintendo had them shelf it for Metroid Prime. But anything is possible. Is it likely that Retro Studios has been slow cooking Returns 3 in the background for a decade now? I don't know, possibly. Or maybe they were put in charge of reviving another Nintendo franchise lost to time. Star Fox, F-Zero, Earthbound, Kid Icarus, I can't tell you exactly which, but some old school Nintendo franchise is going to be brought back from the dead on the Switch too. Look, I am an extraordinarily talented prophet, but even for me, things start getting a bit hazy once I start looking too far into the future. I think that Star Fox and F-Zero could do wonders with the Switch 2's enhanced hardware. Remakes of the Mother/Earthbound trilogy in the style of Link's Awakening would be an actual dream come true for me. And perhaps Masahiro Sakurai could get another crack at the Kid Icarus series. Well, that is assuming that he has truly finally been freed from the shackles of another franchise that I have seemed to have forgotten until the very end. Super Smash Bros. Is in a weird spot, because how the hell do you follow up Ultimate? The two popular ideas going around right now are that you either continue making Smash Ultimate even more ultimate, or you nuke the entire roster and completely start anew. No matter which of these paths Nintendo takes, half of the fanbase is going to be pissed. Which is why I believe that the entire fate of the Super Smash Bros. Franchise hinges on a single phone call.
Hey Disney, it's Nintendo. Look, we're wanting to make another Super Smash Bros. Game, and it would be totes amazing if... Hello?
There are 18 third-party fighters in Smash Bros., and one of them is tied up by Disney. I would have to imagine that from a legal perspective, the easiest way to maintain all of these convoluted third-party contracts is to re-release Smash Ultimate with a bit of new content. 5 to 15 new fighters, the majority of them being Echo Fighters, bring back the handful of fan-favorite stages that were forgotten in the original Smash Ultimate, and maybe enhance some of the single-player options like adding the DLC characters to World of Light, or even just a new version of Break the Targets. Just barely add enough new stuff to satisfy fans and warrant a purchase, while making it so that from a legal perspective, this is technically not a new video game, and Disney doesn't need to do... Disney, stop! But yeah, if Disney says no to letting Sora return, what the hell is even the point of Everyone Is Here? At that point, just start from scratch and revamp the movesets of all of the characters.
Oh, what's that? You want to know my top 10 most wanted newcomers for Super Smash Bros. 6? Well, I thought you would never ask.
Number 10, Fortnite Guy. Look, this isn't even a character that I want that badly. It's just that after Minecraft Steve got in, Fortnite is now the biggest video game thing in line that isn't in Smash Bros. Yet. So why am I to fight what's inevitable? Based on reports of Fortnite trying to get Nintendo characters in their game in the past, it sounds like Fortnite is down to play ball, It's just up to Nintendo at this point whether they want to play as well. Number 9, salmon. That's right, I would rather see a damn fish in Smash before Fortnite. I love me some Splatoon, but there really isn't a whole lot of newcomer opportunities outside of an Octoling Echo Fighter. My idea is that you have a Salmonid fighter whose attacks are all of the different bosses from Salmon Run. Maz comes in for an up smash, the steel head bomb charges up and explodes for a down special, stuff like that. Number 8, new Miis. Yeah, why not? You could do a Mii Mage based off of the Miitopia games, or a Mii Athlete who fights using sports equipment. I don't know, it could be fun. Number 7, Emio. I haven't played the Smiling Man yet, or any of the new Famicom Detective Club games for that matter, but I'm glad that Nintendo is supporting the series. But mainly, I just think it would be really funny to have a straight up rated M murderer in Smash Bros. Number 6, Kratos. When I think of the stereotypical serious single-player Sony experience, Kratos is usually the first guy to come to mind. And there's a lot you could do with this guy. Have him wield the Leviathan axe, and boy, there's a lot of potential for Kratos in Smash. Number 5, Bandana D, or literally any other newcomer from the Kirby franchise, as well as Skull Kid, or literally anyone else from the Zelda franchise. These are two of Nintendo's biggest franchises. Why have they not received a newcomer since Brawl? Number 4, Tetris. Just straight up Tetris. They can make it work. Number 3, Astrobot. Y'all thought I was repping Kratos as the Sony mascot. Nah, Astrobot. This game is goated, and Astro would fit perfectly with the rest of Nintendo's roster. If Astro doesn't get in, then I would still like to see one of the other old school Sony mascots included, like Spyro or Crash. Number 2, Ochi and Pikmin. Similar to the Inklings and Splatoon, it doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot else the Pikmin franchise can offer in terms of Smash Bros. Newcomers, aside from like another captain echoing Olimar. However, dog. Number 1, Zagreus. Hades is awesome. I am so excited for the sequel, and roguelikes are everywhere nowadays. Zagreus is a prime candidate both for the roguelike genre, as well as indie games as a whole. Or I don't know, put in Spider-Man or whatever.
So there you have it, the completely accurate roadmap for the first 3-ish years of the Nintendo Switch 2. And if there's one thing that you might be noticing about it, it's that it's fairly predictable. I mean, I mainly took what worked for the original Switch and applied it to the Nintendo Switch 2, which from a smart, money-making business standpoint makes sense. The original Switch was a major success in almost every regard. It just makes sense to try to emulate that success as much as possible, right? The problem is, this is Nintendo we're talking about here. This is a company which for the last 2 decades has been both at its best and its worst when it's doing the unpredictable. It just feels odd coming into this new console generation where it feels like everyone, including myself, knows exactly what Nintendo is up to. Is this new predictable era of Nintendo truly upon us? Maybe. It's possible that Nintendo's philosophy this generation is that it's okay if the hardware is predictable and by the books, so long as the games are still made with that Nintendo magic that the company is built upon. I said it at the top of the video. The main thing that sold the Nintendo Switch is the fact that it is the Nintendo console. And so long as they're pumping out quality titles regularly, Nintendo is still going to be in the game. Or I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong about everything. Except for Glimglams. Because Glimglams is so totally happening.